The stars might be aligning for the Eagles at the perfect time, as amidst what feels like another end-of-season collapse, the Birds just offered fans some much-needed hope, and what they do next might surprise you. As Nick Sirianni and the coaches might have just finally found some answers on offense, and if Jalen Hurts and company can put it all together, it might just be enough to save the season. And they might just have the perfect opportunity right in front of them in this matchup with the 2-11 Raiders. That said, why can't they take this team lightly? Plus, it seems like the Eagles could have an advantage with the return of a familiar face, while there's plenty of reasons to be excited about the defense and get the latest injury news before the Eagles and Raiders matchup starting right now. Things in Philadelphia obviously haven't exactly been going to plan these past few weeks, and the vibes among the entire fan base and throughout the city are maybe at an all-time low right now. But honestly, there might be a lot more reason for optimism than a lot of people think, because not only do the Eagles have the perfect opportunity right in front of them to get right against a bad Raiders team, presumably led by a familiar face, we'll talk about that in a minute, but even with all the issues and the 3-game losing streak, this team doesn't seem to be panicking one bit, because as opposed to the bad vibes rippling throughout the fan base right now, it seems like the vibes within the Eagles locker room are still very high, even though the positivity rabbit is no longer in the locker room. Again, I don't know what to think about that, but just listen to what defensive tackle Jordan Davis had to say on Wednesday.
I'm so deep into this faith in the offense that I have that one day, hopefully very, very soon, it's going to click. And when it does click, watch out. Because we all know what we're capable of. We all know that we're capable of much more, and we know that we can go out there and we can execute, we can be dominant. But we just have to keep putting in the work. We have to keep keeping the faith, because I feel like a lot of people are just kind of losing faith. And, whether that's y'all, or whether that's the fans, whatever. But me, I'm still 10 toes down for this team. I'm still 10 toes down. Like, I hope that we go out there one game and we just put 100 ball on it, and we play a high level of defense. And I have the faith, and I'm always telling them, I'm always confident. I always say before we walk out, go on the field for the game, I say, look, each and every in this locker room, I have full faith in. I love this team. 10 times out of 10 times, I will be with this team every game. And I have no doubt about it. Like, one day it's going to click, and one day we're going to get it right. But we just have to keep working.
Man, I think this might be my favorite Eagles press conference that I've ever listened to. I mean, I love the positivity there. So drop a like down below for that. Let's see if we can get to at least 500 likes today. And you can tell, like, it's not just media training talking. JD fully 100% wholeheartedly believes in this team. He believes they're going to get it right. And that's kind of infectious. I mean, obviously, we got to see it out on the field. But what JD said there has me believing a little bit more too. Like, his positivity and belief is just infectious. And that's also an important thing to have in the locker room at a time like this. And that's what makes him one of the leaders of this team at this point. I mean, Vic Fangio said it here.
Have you seen Jordan Davis take on more of a leadership role this year? And if so, what does that look like?
Yeah, I think he has in his own way. Jordan is really a fun guy to be around. Good personality, likes being here, comes to work, enjoys work. He has emerged as somewhat of a leader. He has.
Again, I absolutely love everything that Jordan Davis said. And again, even with the 3-game losing streak and the talk of another possible collapse going on right now, I think there's a lot more reasons to be optimistic than you might think. I mean, it starts with Jordan Davis and that Eagles defense, because as much as we're comparing this year to 2023, this version of Philly's defense under Vic Fangio is nothing like that 2023 defense. I mean, they are miles better than that group, and I want to say 5 out of their last 6 games, they've played pretty well and have had a few dominant performances mixed in there as well. Plus, they have a bunch of standout players that just keep getting better as time goes on, whether you want to talk about Jordan Davis, who's having a breakout year. Same goes for guys like Jalyx Hunt and Moro Ojomo. Jalen Phillips was obviously a great addition. Nolan Smith is trending up. The secondary is playing well, particularly the corner trio of Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, and even Adoree Jackson, who's been much, much better as of late. And then the linebackers are playing great too, as Zack Baun is having another Pro Bowl year, pretty quietly, might I add, being top 15 in tackles and top 5 in sacks and passes defended among linebackers. Just not as many splash plays in there. But then Nakobe Dean alongside him is making those splash plays, and it's kind of becoming a spark plug for the Eagles defense in a way.
What's it been like to watch Nakobe come back and play at the level he has?
Super cool. Being one of his better friends on the team and completely understanding the situation he was in, where he was at mentally, and where he kind of was mentally throughout it, and then to come back and be playing at a high level, it's super cool.
Man, when Nakobe Dean fires, I don't know if there's any running back that can stop him from getting to the quarterback. Like he's doing this every week, right through a Marion Hampton, blows him up. And then right here, he gets the ball out of Herbert's hand. Like we know that left hand is bad. Byron Young gets on it. Big play, huge play last night. They got to keep firing and keep sending Nakobe. When he gets there, he blows it up. He got a unique skill, and I think it's better than any inside linebacker in the league right now.
Again, shout out to Nakobe Dean because even though he hasn't been perfect and there's been areas where he needs to get better, he's played pretty well, all things considered, coming back from that injury. And ultimately, when it comes to this defense, I'm always going to trust its leader, Vic Fangio. So again, the defense is definitely one reason to be optimistic right now. And then honestly, as far as the scheme and play calling goes, the offense just showed some legitimate reasons to be optimistic against the Chargers.
Offensively, I think that there's a lot of things to take away from. I'll say this. Watching the game, incredibly frustrating, was like losing my mind in the production truck and upstairs watching the game as it unfolded because they continually killed themselves with interceptions and penalties and turnovers and things like that. But going back and watching the tape, I really do think that there were some positive things to take away from the game offensively. I thought the offense did some really good things this past week that they can build on.
I was much more encouraged from the Eagles offense last night than I was many games this year.
From the play calls, the offense, or not Jalen? Just the play calls or everything?
Just the play calls, the style of offense. They were way more scheme diverse. They had way more route options. There were guys open more consistently last night than there have been all season.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much what I've been saying the past couple days, and several film breakdowns after the Chargers game only further prove that point. I mean, the Eagles' offense took some clear strides in terms of play design, route concepts, and just the overall design of the offense in general, whether it was going under center and creating some advantages in the run game, which definitely paid off, or it was playing off of that and going with some nice play action coupled with better route concepts. I mean, they had some designed rollouts and different formations, which were nice as well, and just overall, it was a really nice change of pace for this offense and definitely a step in the right direction. Now, again, not saying it was perfect. I mean, there were still plenty of problems with the scheme and play calling, and there were still very poorly designed and schemed plays in this Chargers game, and the film breakdowns show that as well. But again, no doubt it was definitely a step in the right direction. Which, by the way, that directly correlates with Nick Sirianni apparently stepping in and taking more control of the Eagles' offense last week. So, not saying he's an offensive genius or anything like that, but he definitely deserves some credit for helping to get things moving in the right direction. Now, the key is just going to be, one, can they build on that and implement some more things this week? And also, can the players execute? Because that was obviously the main problem in the loss to the Chargers. But if they can do that and put it all together, there might honestly be reason to be cautiously optimistic about this offense moving forward.
I know you guys obviously caught some of the changes we made this week, but it's kind of, it's kind of an antagonist to every week, right? When we do something very well, then there's another thing that comes up and kind of bites us, and then we got new things that come up maybe 2 weeks later, and then 2 weeks later after that, and so we just got to find a way to put it all together, and that's every aspect of what makes this unit, makes this group what we are. So we've got to find a way to do that at a high level.
Yeah, we definitely made strides. I think the O-line did a really good job of establishing the line of scrimmage. So it always starts up there, establishing a line of scrimmage, and then it's my job to set us up and put us in the right position and make plays when plays don't need to be made. And we had some success in that last week. Now you just build on it and, most importantly, try to get a win.
The place I think the Eagles have to start is the run game. I mean, again, that finally got going this past week against the Chargers. Saquon had his second best game of the season, and the offensive line was doing a much better job just executing and getting movement in the run game. So I think they should double down on that, build on the under center stuff that worked, and commit more to the overall run game going forward. And then, in turn, that should open up everything else. Now, unfortunately for the Eagles, it doesn't look like they're going to be getting the help they so desperately need along the offensive line this week, as the latest injury updates from practice regarding the O-line aren't exactly super promising. Now, for one, Landon Dickerson missed practice on Thursday with a calf injury, but recording this before the final injury report came out, my guess is that this is partially just a rest day for Landon because he was limited on Wednesday, so I would expect him to play. But again, worth noting that he's been beat up all season. And then unfortunately, once again on Thursday, right tackle Lane Johnson was absent from practice. So it really is seeming like we're going to have to wait yet another week for his return. And reporter Jeff McClain echoed that, saying, quote, sounding like Lane Johnson will need another week before returning to the Eagles lineup, Sunday's opponent also doesn't make his return imperative. And I guess that's a good point because, the Raiders obviously are one of the worst teams in the league. So in theory, the Eagles should be able to handle business at home even without Lane. But obviously, they are kind of spiraling right now. So it'd be nice to get the extra help, especially since the one real major threat on the Raiders defense that could actually ruin things for the Birds on Sunday is edge rusher Maxx Crosby, who typically lines up on that right side. So with the way it's looking, backup right tackle Fred Johnson is definitely in for a challenge. And, not saying he can't handle it, but it's definitely a matchup to keep your eye on.
What challenges do the Raiders present to you? From what you've seen so far, what do they do well?
Well, they got a really disruptive front led with Maxx Crosby. And the way he plays, he's all over the field, has a high motor. So definitely got a lot of respect for him. And the linebackers are, I feel, very underrated in how they play and fly to the ball, how physical they are. And so we just, got a good defense in front of us, and we just got to go out there and really find our game and play our game.
Aside from Maxx Crosby, this Raiders defense is actually semi-underrated, as they're ranked towards the middle of the pack in total yards, pass yards, and rush yards, while also being near the bottom in points allowed at number 24, allowing 25.5 points per game. So, they're obviously not great, but probably better than you would initially expect from a team that is 2-11. And we've seen the Eagles offense struggle very recently against defenses that are statistically worse than the Raiders, such as the Cowboys and Bears. So the Eagles offense is looking to put it all together this week and bounce back, but they definitely can't take this Raiders defense too lightly. Now, the Raiders offense, on the other hand, I don't want to say that you can take them lightly because, they're still an NFL offense, but they might be the worst one in the league, as they rank near the very bottom in pretty much every statistical category, and they're dead last in rushing and scoring. So it's definitely a much easier, much more favorable matchup for the Eagles defense, and it's probably only made easier that their quarterback for this week is likely going to be a familiar face, as reports out of Las Vegas this week revealed that starting QB Geno Smith is unlikely to start on Sunday because of a right shoulder injury, which gives the former Eagle and Philly native Kenny Pickett a cool opportunity to start in his hometown against his former team.
Fans will be ready to go. They have a hell of a team. They've kept, there's not a ton of new faces on that team, so there's a lot of really good players. I know the coaching staff and how prepared that they're going to be for the game, so it's a great opportunity.
Obviously, we have respect for Kenny. Started a couple years in Pittsburgh. Did well when he had to play for us last year. Obviously saw him on the practice field all last year. I don't think there's a way advantage, just because he was here that we know him. He's in a different offense, running a different scheme. I think all of that's way blown out of proportion.
Obviously, a ton of respect to Kenny Pickett, as he was a part of the Super Bowl team, and he helped the Birds win that Dallas game late in the year, which was huge, so it'll be cool to see him again. Now, I do think the fact that he did practice here all last year gives the Eagles some form of an edge, although I kind of do agree with Vic Fangio that that's probably a little bit overblown. And also, you could just flip it around the other way, too, and say that Pickett has an advantage because he played against this Eagles defense, whatever. But at the end of the day, I don't think Kenny Pickett's that great. And in that Raiders offense, it's not like he's going to have very much help. And we also saw how much the Eagles defense has been able to rattle quarterbacks like Jordan Love, Jared Goff, and Justin Herbert in recent weeks, so you better believe that I would expect them to do the same to Kenny Pickett. Still, though, last week when he came in against the Broncos, Pickett actually wasn't bad, as he went 8 for 11 for 97 yards and a touchdown. So the Eagles are definitely going to have to be ready for him, but again, it is a matchup that I do feel pretty good about. Still, though, the Eagles cannot afford to take this Raiders team lightly, because even though they're 2-11, a lot of their games have actually been pretty close, and that includes 7 and 3-point losses to the 11-2 Broncos, and 1-point losses to the Jags and Bears, who are also both playoff teams, plus a win over the 2-seed Patriots in the season opener. Now, they've also had their fair share of blowout losses, and on paper, this matchup isn't even close. I mean, the Eagles blow the Raiders out of the water there, but again, the Birds are struggling right now. They've lost 3 straight games, and they desperately need a win kind of to save their season. While for Vegas, they got nothing to lose, and that kind of reminds me of a game 2 years ago where the lowly Cardinals came into the link with nothing to lose, and they knocked off the Eagles, who were in the midst of their infamous collapse. So the Birds obviously cannot afford a repeat of that situation here, and instead they have to find a way to respond.
I think that's a part of the game. Success or greatness, those things aren't linear. You have your ups, you have your downs, but it's about how you respond to it. And I think about that. I mean, it's nothing new that I haven't faced before. It's a matter of responding to it, and I got a lot of confidence how we respond. I got a lot of confidence how it go.
Overall, the vibes coming from the Eagles this week have been pretty positive, and again, I like their odds in this game against the Raiders, so call me crazy, but I am officially cautiously optimistic. And someone who we know always brings the good vibes is Brandon Graham, and I just wanted to make a quick note of the fact that in the absence of Jalen Carter, it seems like the 16-year vet has taken on a brand new role.
BG actually played defensive tackle in the game, probably the first time in his career when it was either-or situations, not just rush. And, because he helped pick up the slack of losing Jalen Carter and did a nice job.
Felt great, man. Felt great. Excited to keep chipping away. My training camp is over. That's why, I've been out there a little more. And then, of course, JC, he's down. So, just trying to do everything I can for the team. Excited. Yeah, I feel comfortable. It's just certain stuff. If I am going to be in the middle, you got to make sure that you hold your ground and you making sure that you got the right technique, especially when you get double teamed, stuff like that. But, yeah, man, it's just all about using your hands. My tricep, everything feel great, man. I just feel like just got to continue to keep working the technique. As you know, it's just a daily walk with it.
Is there any advantage to having a different body type than so many of the guys who play inside?
Yeah, it's like you got to be quicker because everything comes at you a lot quicker because, you don't have as much space as you do as outside linebacker because, you at least get 2 steps. As soon as you get off the rock, you got to use your hands right away because the guard, he don't like space. He want to try to, minimize as much space as he can, so he's going to try to get on you fast.
Crazy that BG, fresh out of retirement, comes back and is now playing a brand new position at age 37. I mean, that just speaks to the kind of player and professional that he is, so shout out to him. Now, as for the injury reports, obviously for the Eagles, it was Jalen Carter, Landon Dickerson, and Lane Johnson not practicing, but everyone else was good. And for the Raiders, things were looking a little sketchy on Wednesday, but all the key players that missed that session, like Maxx Crosby, Jeremy Chin, and Jamal Adams, all returned in some capacity on Thursday. Now, for the Eagles, it is worth noting that Fred Johnson popped up on the injury report with some sort of ankle injury and was limited in practice on Thursday. And again, with Lane likely out and a matchup with Maxx Crosby on Sunday, that's pretty significant and maybe a little worrying for this Philly offense. But that said, you guys know that I'm going to keep you up to date with all the other news that comes out in the lead up to that game. So if you don't want to miss out, make sure you subscribe and you turn on notifications. Again, that way you don't miss any other Eagles coverage coming throughout the rest of the season. And also leave a like down below because it really does help me out a ton. Let's see if we can get to at least 500 likes today. And also hit the hype button because that helps me out a ton as well. And leave a comment just regarding anything that I talked about in this video. And if you do want to watch another Eagles video going over some other stuff, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.